Welcome to the last video on 6-4 chords, this time the cadential 6-4. We're on page 215. This is the most common of all of our 6-4 chord types, and it signals an impending cadence. So remember that it's a tonic 6-4 chord, 1-6-4, which has sol, G in the bass, just like 5 does. And it goes directly to 5. And it's intensifying 5, so it has a dominant function with the sol in the bass. It's not a tonic function chord. So the voice leading for this is, so we have sol, sol, do in the bass, sol, sol, do. Another voice holds the common tone sol through all 3 chords. Sol, sol, sol. So those two together. And then the other two voices sing the 2 missing notes in our tonic 6-4, do and mi, and then they go down by step to 5. So we have do, ti, and mi, re. And then we do our standard voice leading to 1. So here's that all in a row. Straightforward. So it's also important how we precede the cadential 6-4. It's usually preceded by a predominant function chord, 4 or 2-6. And if you note on page 216 that 4 and 2-6 approach the cadential 6-4 by common tones or steps down. That's very important as it avoids lots of part writing problems. So how do we find them? You've got a second inversion triad, and it's not neighbor or passing, and it has sol, sol, and then do, maybe, in the bass. And the cadential 6-4 is the first chord, not the second chord this time. So we're going to label it 1-6-4, 5-1, straightforward, and then we're going to put a bracket of the 5 around 1-6-4 and 5 to show that they both have a dominant function. The Roig-Frankoli uses a different label, and you're more than welcome to use that if you like. I think this one's a little more easy to understand. So, page 217, we've got an example from Lucia di Lammermoor. Here, let's listen to that. So there you go. So, important things to notice in this one. So this is the final cadence of the aria. And so we're in G major. So we look in measure 2 of the excerpt. You'll notice that we have a tonic 6-4 chord on beat 3. So this is a G major triad with D's in the bass. Okay. Which then moves directly to 5. Notice that the bass that's being doubled in octaves in the left hand stays the same, as does the middle voice of the top chord. And then the other 2 voices both move down by step and then back up for 1 when the bass changes. And then also notice that the 2-6 chord follows what I just said about it. So we get the fa, sol, but the upper voices all move down by step. So here's that all together. Following all the voice leading I described. So let's write one in the notation software, and remember on page 225 you can practice other examples. So this time I've chosen C minor, and I've given you a figured bass rather than the Roman numerals, so we have to figure them out from the figured bass. Remember that the figured bass numbers tell us the note above the bass. Here it looks like I deleted the bass part, which is fa, sol, sol, do. That octave leap pattern is also a possibility with the cadential 6-4 and perfectly normal. So let's figure out the Roman numerals first. So I have D, F here. A sixth above this note is D. I'm sorry, that's the wrong way. D. And a third that's implied by the symbol is an A flat from the key signature, which gives us a D diminished triad in first inversion, which is 2 diminished 6. So I'm going to write in that Roman numeral now. So notice I'm going to put the Roman numeral underneath the figured bass, that our analysis is not the same as the actual music, which is figured bass is a part of the music. So I didn't need to add that. There it is, 2 diminished 6. So here we have 6/4 above a G, so a sixth above G is E flat, and a fourth above G is C. So we have a C minor triad with G in the bass, 1/6/4. Since we're in minor, it'll be a minor 6/4 chord. 1/6/4. Okay, and then if we take a look at our next chord, we have G with 5 and a natural. A fifth above G is D, and the natural tells us I'm going to take a third and modify it. So the third above G is B flat, and the key signature natural makes it B natural, giving us 5. That is major, the chord we expect. So I'll write major 5. And then we have 1. This is going to be 1. So we have the tonic note, and this implies that we've got a fifth and a third above this note. A fifth is G, and a third is E flat. We have a C minor triad, which is minor 1. There we go. So now we'll part write this. I'm going to part write from the inside out. So I'm going to start with the 5 chord here. I'm going to delete my extra notes. So what I'm going to do first is compose the common tone, which is going to be in my tenor in this example. So I have a G here, and I'm going to put a G in the next chord as well. There we go. And then I'm going to put the leading tone T in the soprano. So I need B natural, which will resolve to Do. And my other note that I need is Re. Excuse me. I need a D, which will then go up to E flat to finish out my 1 chord. So we have 5/1. And then so for my cadential 6/4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double that G in the bass, the tenor. And then, so we want the 6 to go to 5 and the 4 to go to 3 above this G in the bass. So a sixth above G is C, which will go to B, a fifth above the bass. I'm sorry. The C is the 4th. C is the 4th, B natural is the 3rd. And then we have the 6th is the E flat, going to the 5th, which is the G, the D, going to E flat. And then, for our last chord here, we need D, F, and A flat, but we want notes above the notes in the cadential 6/4 to avoid part writing problems. So, our options, the closest note above C would be the D in our available pitches. The closest note above E flat would be F, and then a closest note above G is A flat. So there you go, and they're all moving down by step. And notice I've doubled the bass note. So look at this. So double the bass, double the bass, double the bass, double the bass. All 4 chords have the bass doubled. So let's take a listen. So there you go. That's how to part write with a figured bass, the cadential 6/4 chord. So practice some more on your own and use examples in the book as well. So I'll see you in class.